as you said, as El Mostro. Metalik, of course, was Mascara Dorada in CMLL. Before this, he would stay with WWE until 2021. Now worked on the Indies, made a couple AEW appearances, but pissed off Chris Jericho, I guess, or something. And now he's gone.
What a kid.
And Mascara Dorada 2 has become way better than he ever was.
Yes.
So.
It's 4 minutes. I guess it's okay. You know, it's cruiserweights.
Apparently, Saez dropped 30 pounds for this tournament, which is insane. It was a 205 limit.
Well, when the Fed starts calling you might as well, try your best. It showed a little bit, I'll be honest.
What did you say?
It showed.
Oh, yeah. It was a short but exciting match. Solid way to kick off the tournament. Metalik's mask came off when he did the Metalik driver. And but he was quickly able to get it back on, and it wasn't any big deal. I gave it 3 1/4.
I gave it 2.5.
Okay.
Average, okay. Ho Lun takes on Arya Davari, who I'm pretty sure is related to Sean Davari.
Yes, he is the younger brother or cousin of Sean Davari, Khosrow Davari. Arya Davari was on the Indies, mostly based in Minnesota at the time. He worked with WWE also until 2021. He now works for AEW ROH, primarily in ROH with Josh Woods and Tony Nese as the premier athletes. They had a fun little run last summer in the Dallas
Texas,
esports arena or whatever. Yeah. Ho Lun came from the China Indies, and he had started a promotion in Hong Kong. He worked with WWE. He actually stays for a little bit. I don't think people really remember that, but he stays until 2017. Then he leaves. He's now in Dragon Gate.
Yep.
So, also Hong Kong, great flag. A part of this tournament is they really are showcasing the international part of it, and it's kind of like the World Cup where you're kind of representing your country. And Ho Lun and one other wrestler who we'll talk about later are from Hong Kong, and that flag is beautiful. I would like to mention, Mauro Ranallo mentions Lun's Japanese influences, and he lists 3 of the 4 pillars. Can you guess which one he obviously left out?
Taue.
Yeah, Taue. Taue Erasure on my great Cruiserweight Classic.
Not so great, is it, huh?
Yeah. And then I love Davari making himself obviously the heel without touching a microphone. I reckon most of these people have never heard of him before this, and they hated him just because he was being such a prick in this match. I really liked that. I gave this 3 stars.
I gave it 2. I thought it was a little sloppy, but Ho Lun was not like a big, well-known guy at the time. He's from Chinese Indies, so it's, benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
Then we get Cedric Alexander, and he takes on, I believe, known as Clement Petois.
Clement Petois.
Petois in here. Tristan Archer is what he's known as nowadays.
Yeah. Petois came from the European Indies. He now wrestles as Tristan Archer in WXW. Cedric Alexander came from ROH. He worked with WWE until the most recent round of cuts here in 2025, probably AEW bound. This was just a really great showing from Cedric. You can really see why he's about to become the fan favorite of this tournament. I don't know, what were your thoughts on this one?
I thought it was the one so far best match of the night for sure.
Oh, really? I thought it was just 3 stars. I thought it was kind of have it on. I have it slightly below the Grand Metalik match. I have this one also 3 stars. I thought it was just pretty good.
I gave it 2 3/4.
Okay.
So I'm not not like picking
wildly
hairs.
off, but yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that was pretty good. Nothing really much to say from this.
And finally, we get to Kota Ibushi.
Yep.
And he takes on, I want to say, Sean Maluta.
Yeah, Sean Maluta. Kota Ibushi, of course, came from New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's where he would return after this. Currently works for AEW, question mark?
Kind of, sort of, not really.
Yeah. Sean Maluta came from the Florida Indies. He's currently back in the Florida Indies. He is the nephew of Alpha, further proving that no matter where or when we go, we will never escape this fuck-ass family.
Where's the fighting guy family still like money on the Samoans?
I don't know, man. It's insane. I love that they get to acknowledge that wrestling outside of WWE exists. This was obviously a Triple H production. I don't think Vince had barely any clue what was going on in the Cruiserweight Classic. Obviously, by the way he books them afterwards.
Yeah, sure. He was like, yeah, sure, whatever, fine. You go have a match. I don't care.
At one point, Kota Ibushi does a roundhouse kick, and it sounds like Morrow says a roundhouse kiss, but we all know he only uses that move on Kenny Omega. So he did not use that here on Shawn Michaels.
I love seeing a roundhouse kiss. That'd be so funny.
Yeah. Maluta botches a dive. Morrow references Okada after an Ibushi drop kick, kind of comparing how good their drop kicks are. This is a really great match. When Maluta was able to make himself look like a genuine threat to Ibushi, even though he was never going to beat Ibushi in the first round. I gave it 3 3/4.
I gave it 3 3/4 as well.
Yeah. Definitely the best match of this first episode.
That's the first episode I dusted. The second episode.
Yeah, this is the episode from July 13th, and now we're on to the July 20th episode.
Begins with Tajiri.
Well, actually, the first thing is they show tweet reactions to episode 1, and one tweet is from Wale. It was Wale reacting to.
He was a big name at the time.
He's still a big wrestling fan. Like he's huge. Yes. He does Wale Mania every year. Yeah.
The first match is Damian Slater against Tajiri.
Yes. So Tajiri, of course, worked for ECW and WWE in the 90s and 2000s. He was primarily in Wrestle 1 at the time, and now he wrestles for various Japanese companies, just kind of doing a legend indie circuit kind of run. The type of guy that you wouldn't be surprised to see show up at a collective show.
Yeah.
And then Damian Slater came from the Australian indie scene. He's stayed there since, never really broke out of Australia. What I liked about this match is Tajiri, I didn't realize had technical game like he showcased in this match. I really liked it. It was a really good match. Tajiri's age didn't show at all. I thought Slater kept up with him. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought, it would be better for Tajiri, but it was solid. I gave it 2.5.
I gave it 3.5. I thought it was really good. I think I'm much higher on cruiserweight wrestling than you are, just in general.
Yes.
This is my kind of shit.
Most likely. All right.
This to me is what like Joshi is to you.
That's fair. Up next is the Mac, who I could have sworn we've reviewed this thing of already.
We reviewed Damac, Ludwig Kaiser, and Juventud Guerrera versus Miguel Ramirez, Toby Blunt, and Ultimo Dragon.
Maybe if Juventud was this, I rated it higher. He wasn't doing much. The juice was loose.
We reviewed them at at WXW Superstars Wrestling 2 Day 1, which I think was a 2015 show.
Yeah, I think so.
This is the year before this. Damac had been in WXW. He returned there after this, and then he retired in 2020. Probably due to the pandemic.
Do you remember when Hoovy tried to make an Eddie Guerrero chant a Hoovy chant?
Yeah. Yes, I remember that. TJ Perkins had been in TNA from 2013 to 2015 and off and on before that. Last appearing as Manic. He had been in Evolve for most of 2016. He stayed at WWE until 2019. He is now in New Japan as TJP and is the leader of United Empire?
Question mark, maybe.
Sort of? I don't
know. He was born in KC?
He was born in Kansas City?
Yeah.
That's cool. I think we may have talked about that last week, but I don't remember. Well, not like last week on the show, but like last week.
Last week in the car, probably,
yeah. Michael Jackson gimmick has not aged well for Damac.
No.
Say that.
Not at all.
Daniel Bryan. TJ Perkins' thing at the time was a dab, which is like, this is like we're about to see Cam Newton's MVP season. The dab is huge. Or maybe we just saw Cam Newton's MVP season. The dab is huge. But Daniel Bryan calls the dab a dubstep. So on brand.
Daniel Bryan does not know what the hell he's talking about, and that's why.
Unless it's professional wrestling.
Yes.
Morrow says that Damac was trained by Ludwig Kaiser's dad, Axel Dieter Sr. This had a really great back and forth. I thought it was a solid match overall. I gave this one 3 stars.
I gave it 3 as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
we had an ad for Battleground 2016 featuring the Shield Triple Threat. Do you even remember that match happening?
I definitely did not watch, yeah. Up next, Mustafa Ali against Lince Dorado.
Yeah, Dorado, he came from the Indies. He was with WWE until 2021. He's now back with WWE as a producer and has most recently wrestled on NXT live events. Ali also came from the Indies. He stayed with WWE until 2023. He now works primarily for TNA, but makes appearances for New Japan and other indie bits and other indie companies. Short hair Ali, jarring.
Yes, weird.
Weird.
Do not like. Because by the time the Cruiserweights come to WWE full time, they're not, they're normal. It's very long haired.
Yeah, it's long. It's normal Ali. They mentioned Ali used to be a police officer. Is he included in ACAB?
No, that's a no, I guess. Because
Okay.
it was.
He's a former police officer.
It was Chicago PD, which is bad,
Mm-hmm.
but he also seems to be a pretty good dude. So
Okay. I voted for him. So, what an incredible match this was. Awesome chemistry between these two.
The best match for sure of
the match of the tournament so far. Yeah, that's what I wrote here exactly. I wrote exactly match of the tournament so far as you said it. So, 4.25 for me on this one. This was a great.
It was just a 4.
Yep.
And up next, Tozawa takes on Kenneth Johnson, also known as Wheezy Woo.
Okay. Akira Tozawa had come from Dragon Gate. He's with WWE to this day, currently part of the Alpha Academy or whatever they're still calling themselves. Kenneth Johnson had wrestled 17 matches to this point, mostly in NWA affiliated companies. He wrestled 4 more career matches after this. His last match was a squash against Aleister Black on Raw on January 27th, 2020.
Good for him.
So Aleister Black retired this man. This is the second episode in a row where Mauro mentions all the pillars except for Towway. Mauro, what is up with this Towway erasure?
He does not like a choke slam, and you can tell.
Yeah, so Johnson had a speech impediment, and they kept talking about how much he overcame it. In the way they were building up, you would think he was born without arms or legs. The way they were talking about his speech impediment, like how it was keeping him out of wrestling, and I'm like, it's just
the dude just can't talk like the rest of us can. Okay,
yeah.
Cool, whatever, brother.
But they were building it up like it was this huge mountain to overcome. This was nothing special. I gave this 2.5 stars.
I gave it like a 2. Yeah, Tozawa historically was not used well in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
It starts from this point. It's kind of sad.
Match 1, yeah. On to episode 3.
Episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
ZSJ takes on Tyson Dukes.
Tyson Dukes.
Tyson Dukes, excuse me.
Dukes came from the Indies. He returned there until his last match in 2022. ZSJ had been in Noah from 2011 to 2015. For the first half of 2016, he'd mostly been on the Indies. He would stay in the Indies after this. He would join New Japan the next year. He's still there now, former world champion.
I like to think that his bet on himself paid off there.
Yeah. I love how excited Mauro and Brian were to reference British wrestlers that I haven't even heard of. And I've heard of a lot of wrestlers, and they were deep cutting it. It was insane. As far as the wrestling goes, Dukes, at one point he ducks a kick from ZSJ, and then ZSJ hits the smoothest leg sweep I've ever seen, just the most fluid motion leg sweep. Dukes was great. I mean, he wasn't necessarily a great wrestler, but one thing he was very good at was selling with his face. Just his facial expressions made everything look so brutal. I just want to know, what did you think of? Because obviously, in the last year, we've watched a lot of Zack Sabre Jr. because he's been at the top of New Japan. What did you think looking at ZSJ then and looking at him now?
I knew ZSJ was good because he was already kind of well known.
This was my first exposure to ZSJ, by the way. At this time, this is 3 years before I touched New Japan or Ring of Honor. At this time, all I knew was WWE. So this was my only exposure to ZSJ for many years. But what did you know? What did you know of him then, and how would you compare?
He was already known to be good. I know he was mostly in Noah, but in the UK scene, he was pretty good, and in CW and stuff. But it's just weird that this happened,
Yeah. And then style-wise, he's such a different beast now.
Yeah.
He's such... excuse me. He's such a... I don't know. He's a machine now. He's so good. You can see at the time how talented he was, and he's just built that into such a unique style. And Yeah, he's an incredible, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I loved watching this younger stuff. I gave this match 4 stars.
I loved this. I gave it 3 3/4. I thought, could have been a little bit better.
Yeah. Next match.
Well, the next match is Drew Gulak versus one half of my favorite Indian tag team, the Bollywood Boys.
Yeah, so Gulak came from Evolve. He was with WWE until last year.
I'd say more CW than Evolve.
That's just where he was at the time. He was in
Okay.
Evolve like in 2015 and 2016. Okay. That's kind of where he came from. He was in WWE until last year. He's now on the Indies, on the dirt Indies. Like
he is lost everything.
Yeah,
for good reason.
For good reason. Yeah, you can look into that if you would like. Harv Sira is who this is. He came from the Canadian Indies. He stayed with WWE as Samir Singh until 2021.
He's one of Jinder's managers.
Now wrestles all over the Indies, but primarily in Defy. Gulak does a power slam into the rope multiple times throughout this tournament. This is the first time I saw it, and it was just insane.
I love his gimmick of no flips.
Mm-hmm. No flips, just fists or whatever.
No, it was like
that was FTR.
It was like a political joke. Like it was Mustafa Ali before Mustafa Ali, pretty much.
Yeah. And then it was just a really sudden, brutal dragon sleeper that he just snapped Harv into and got the win.
Overall, Gulak is really good because Ronda Rousey happened, but like
bad person. But
yeah,
I give this one 3 1/4. Remember, as always, as we run into with seemingly every classic review, because tons of wrestlers are shitty people. Every single
wrestler's a horrible human being. Yeah.
We're separating the art from the artist here. We're just judging the wrestling here. I gave this 3 1/4.
I gave it 3. Tony Nese, Anthony Bennett, now also known as Tone Bennett.
Not the guy that was drafted by the Cavaliers.
Not the Bill Simmons woe guy.
Yeah. Nese came from Evolve. He stayed with WWE until 2021. Now works with AWROH, as previously mentioned, with Ari Daivari. Bennett came from the Monster Factory, and he has been on the Indies ever since then. So, Tony Nese, a much better high flyer than I think I normally give him credit for.
Yeah.
He was very creative in his high flying in this match, I thought. But overall, I think it was just an okay match. Nese did some great moves, but it was nothing special. I would say it was above average, though, so I'll give it 3 stars. What did you think?
I agree with you. I give it 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these earlier matches, I think we're going to have less to say than maybe the later matches, but they had to kind of weed out the field. Right?
Yeah. Brian Kendrick, Raul Mendoza, better known as Cruz del Toro.
Yeah, so Kendrick was in WWE off and on from 2002 to 2009. He had been on the Indies in 2016. He stayed with WWE until 2020, and then I think he went back to the Indies. There was some weird stuff with some tweets he had made. He almost was in AEW, then he wasn't, kind of thing. I remember it. If you saw the match graphic today, it'd be so weird. Remember, he was going to wrestle Moxley?
Yeah.
And then that just changed because he said something bad. I don't even remember what.
It was like Holocaust now.
Oh, okay, cool.
Cool.
That's great of him. Great reason to kick him.
Did you know that he'd wrestled in XPW in 2024?
In XPW? No, I did not. Who did he wrestle?
Wicked Wicket.
Okay, that means nothing to me.
Of course it doesn't. It's the terrible bad wrestling company, so who cares?
Okay. Mendoza had been on the Indies. He's still with WWE as Cruz del Toro as part of the LWO. This was a pretty good match. I like the psychology with Kendrick going after Mendoza's face because Mendoza had braces at the time. I thought that was really fun. I gave it 3 1/4.
I gave it 3 1/4 as well.
Yeah, this episode definitely kicked off with the best match of the episode with Dukes and Sabre.
Yeah,
I think that's where that one. And then here we have, I guess, the last episode we'll get to on this part. Episode 4.
Rich Swann and Jason Lee.
So Swann came from Evolve. He stayed with WWE until 2017. He's on the Indies now. He'll be wrestling Brian Cage at the FSW Chris Bay Benefit Show in Vegas. Jason Lee came from the Chinese and Japanese Indies. He currently works for Dragon Gate.
He was in some really good stables, such as Masquerade with my boy Shun Skywalker, and Z-Brats with my boy Shun Skywalker. So he's a He's a pretty good
He's
guy.
friends with Shun Skywalker.
Yeah, that's it.
A friend of Shun Skywalker's is a friend of ours.
Shun Skywalker should be in the CWC too if they do that ever. Just throw it out there, by the way.
Rich Swann is incredibly entertaining.
Yes.
But ultimately, this was a pretty whatever match.
Yeah, it was like, what, 4 minutes?
Something, yeah. I gave it 2.5.
I gave it 2.5 as well.
Yeah.
Noam Dar, who somehow is still employed, against the other Bollywood boy, Gurv Shira.
Gurv Shira, of course, like I said, with Harv, he came from the Canadian Indies. He stayed with WWE until 2021. This one, Gurv was Sunil Singh, and of course now in the Indies, primarily in Defy. Dar was in ICW going into this, and then still with WWE today, wrestling in NXT. Been a career NXT guy for a very long time, but he was also really young. I mean,
he was.
He wasn't Tyler
here.
Bate young when he signed, but he was like 21 when he signed with WWE. Like he's probably like 30 now.
Yeah, he's 31.
31, yeah. So like he was.
That's so weird that he's
a young dude,
still
really young
though.
dude.
When you think about it, though.
Yeah, this was another just okay match. I also gave this one 2.5 stars.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It was longer, but it shouldn't have been, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, just didn't really click for me.
Then we have Jack Gallagher against Fabian Eichner.
Yes, so Gallagher came from the Indies, primarily in the UK. He stayed with WWE until 2020. Got into some trouble, right? Was he one of the speaking out?
He was.
And he has not wrestled since. So,
but he has done bare knuckle fighting.
Weird. Fabian Eichner came from the European Indies. He stayed with WWE, changed his name to Giovanni Vinci until his recent release. We don't know when he will. We don't know where he'll go. He's kind of a wild card of these releases. So we'll see. This was a really fun match. I don't understand how WWE couldn't find anything to do with Eichner/Vinci. He's so talented, and he really shows it in this match. Just great athlete. I really liked it. Gallagher. When I was watching the Cruiserweight Classic and when I was watching 205 Live after, I always really liked him. He was entertaining. You know, the whole umbrella British gentleman bit I always thought was fun. Of course, bad guy, but
yeah.
I give this one 3.5. This was a really fun match.
I guess 1 3, but also I have to remember that Jack Gallagher fucked with Drew Parker, so he's a piece of shit. So
yep.
But finally, the best match of the whole tournament, I think.
And they knew it would. The best match, at least of the first round, for sure. And they knew it would be the best match of the first round.
Literally.
They put it on night 4, match 4. Like, yeah.
Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, go 10 minutes.
Yeah,
5 stars.
So they had already been in NXT as DIY. Ciampa had been in Ring of Honor from 2011 to 2015 before coming to NXT. Gargano came from Evolve. Of course, they're both still with WWE, currently the tag team champions as we're recording this, as it's I don't know when it will have this release, but they may lose that to the Street Profits this week. Feels like they're sowing the seeds in this match for Ciampa to be the one that will break up the team. Just the way he was working as kind of more of the heel in this.
Yeah,
and
he ends up doing that.
Yeah,
A couple years later.
So whenever these guys lock up, it's magic. They are on that tier with Sammy and KO, with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Like whenever they are on a card against each other, you know you're about to see something intense. And you know it's just incredible. I really, really like this. This is just a small preview of the matches they'll have in the future. My only gripe is I wish it went on longer. I give this 4.5 stars.
I give it 4 3/4.
Okay. So do you want to do some of the awards?
I will do all the awards at the end.
Well, I think we can do some round 1 awards and then some whole tournament awards.
Okay.
The categories or whatnot. What was the best? Do we do a best moment of round 1?
It's just gonna be the Gargano match.
Yeah, I don't really know what else would be the best. MVP. Who had the best individual performance of
Ciampa?
You think Ciampa?
Yeah.
I was thinking. I know it's kind of the cliche easy pick, but I was really feeling Ibushi and Zack Sabre Jr. But I think I would give it to Ibushi if I picked one.
Okay, that's fair.
Heat check, best performance in a short amount of time. I think I'd give that one to Rich Swann. even for the even though a lot of these matches were very short, his was on the shorter end even of that.
Yeah.
Apex Mountain, surprise of the show. We'll save that stuff. We'll save recasting and double feature and whatnot. Does anything from this first round go in the Criterion Collection?
No.
No. What would be the first round classic handshake for you?
After the Ciampa Gargano match, I think.
You would go Ciampa Gargano,
Yeah.
like just like the whole match, or just the aftermath?
I'll do the whole match.
The whole match. I went with Ciampa versus Gargano as well. I think that was easily the best match of this tournament.
At least round one for sure.
For round one, sorry, yeah, that's definitely the best match of round one. I do have a match that I think is better later on. We'll get to in part two. Just overall, like, do you remember like watching the Cruiserweight Classic when it happened?
I didn't.
You didn't watch it as it
No.
happened? I know I did. I really enjoyed it as it happened. It was a really cool idea that they just never really capitalized on with the Cruiserweight division on Raw or on 205 Live. 205 Live just became a joke of a show by the end. But this was a really awesome way to introduce me to a lot of talent. Of course, guys like Sabre and Gargano and Ciampa have become some of my favorite wrestlers of all time in the years since. Kota Ibushi I recognize as one of the greats. It was really interesting. It had Kendrick and Tajiri being there, I think really did a lot for me as a kid, because at least there were like, I say as a kid, I was like 13 when this happened, but they were guys that I was at least aware of that I could kind of latch onto. And Cruiserweight wrestling's always meant a lot to me. I mean, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Rey Mysterio fan. I love Lucha Libre. I love the WCW Cruiserweight division from the late 90s. There's a lot of guys like Paul London and Brian Kendrick and Billy Kidman from the 2000s that I really love. So Cruiserweight wrestling's always been really special to me. I really loved this tournament. The first round was great. I can't wait to get into more of it later on. I guess, Steve, anything else you want to take us out?
All right, that was part one of this. Stay tuned for part two. Most likely out next week, but we'll see. And of course, just that enjoy wrestling.